I'm Dave. I'm going to lead you through this module of the seated positions and the cueing and the alignments. So what you will need during these sequences is a yoga belt and a yoga block, because what I'd like to do is firstly show you the posture itself, the asana itself, but then show you how you would maybe teach that to a beginner or somebody with tight hips. Okay, so if you can make sure you've got your yoga block and your yoga belt, we'll get started. Tortoise pose. Okay, so again, this is quite an advanced pose if you're tight, so there is variations that I will show you that we can do to build up to be able to do in the full pose. But it's a pose that comes from the and easy ways to get into it are from the wide leg forward bend, so the legs are wide. So instead of just trying to lean forward and stick the hands through the legs, I would maybe do this after I've done the wide leg forward bend. So I would bend the knees a little bit and then come in. So you create a space, you lift up, and then the hands come underneath the legs. And the more you can walk the hands out to the side, creates the space for you to exhale and fold forward. Inhale, come up, bend the knees, and then bring the knees into the chest. So when you do it, because the knees are on the back of the elbows, it feels like there's a lot of pressure on the back of the elbows. So you need to sort of start steady, especially with your students. Remember, it's okay if we can do it, but you've got to be aware of what are the limitations of your students, and then you want to build them up to be able to do the full pose. So a way I would maybe build up to this would be a variation of it. So it's a pose that we did earlier, which is the angle pose. So the feet are in a prayer, like so, and the knees are out to the side. So I would then move the sit bones back, so you create this bigger space here. She'll turn and show you that. It's better if I turn, I think. So rather than being sitting up close, I want to create this bigger space here, and then see if I can bring my hands down and take a hold of my feet like that. So again, I'm creating length by this lifting up and lengthening of between just below the belly button and the sternum, and the shoulders are drawn back, which creates length. So I'm always lifting up through the crown of my head. So as I come down to here, I'm lifting up, and as I exhale, I'm folding into that space. So you can use your arms in this version to help open yourself down. So in this case, I'd be looking at maybe my forehead is going towards the arches of my feet. So this way, I'm not trying to roll down through the spine. I'm going to keep that nice length through the Sushumna Nadi. So by doing that, I inhale and I lift, draw my shoulders back, lengthen the front of the body, tummy is in, and on the exhale, I'm thinking about that long curve, not rolling in, a long curve, so it keeps the spine nice and long. So it would be inhale up, exhale, long curve. See, I'm still looking up, so it creates the length on the front body, and then exhale. Then you can bring the forehead down towards the feet. That in itself is a really good stretch. It opens up the back and the hips. So if you can get to the point where you can start doing that, then you can maybe advance to the wide legged. Again, remember, you can always be sat up on the block, which creates a little bit of space to come through, but you'll find generally if someone is having to sit up onto the block to do the wide leg forward bend, they won't have the room when it comes to that pose to be able to go through into that. So the variation would maybe be what you teach for a while and then introduce in further classes. This is if you've got regular classes and you're teaching, you know, classes all the time. If it's a workshop, generally you've got people who've done yoga and are good. But always think, who's in my class? Who needs, you know, because there's always a little variation you can do for somebody in a pose that then enables them to keep the participation in the class, feel like they're part of the family that you're going to create for them to do. Okay, so tortoise pose. Namaste.
Okay. Keep smiling. Woo, yeah. Well, we took